Awesome movie, annoying kids talking the entire time, but I got a free pass for being a complainy, naggy person. Honestly, sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do. It really was annoying, and to pay that much for a ticket, it's just not about the money, it's about the value and the worth and knowing that your money is worth stuff. So, okay. So now I'm parked at the place that I sleep, and I do want to say that, okay, I loved the movie. It wasn't what I expected, and I loved it even more, and it makes a lot more sense why I was drawn to it now, because I really didn't see the correlation. Though I do try to avoid any information about movies before I go. Like, I don't even watch trailers. This one I managed to know very little. I think I just knew the main actress, and that was it. So there were a bunch of kids that came in, like maybe 20 minutes into the film, so I already assumed they didn't pay for the ticket, which shouldn't matter. If it's not about money, what is it about? I actually found the answer to that, so stay tuned. It's either going to be in this non-review if it comes up, or it'll be in another video that I plan on making that was about my day a little bit more and about some answers that I got. But this one, I'm going to try to keep it focused on my stream of consciousness throughout the actual movie, which is why I'm prefacing that once the kids came in, it was actually like really difficult for me to like not see it as a lesson. So I would try to ignore them, and I would try to still do what I was doing, which I guess was just like relaxing, getting out of my head, and trying to really just be in the moment and be in the movie, see what comes to mind. But every time they giggled, and every time they had like a laugh, every time they were for a little bit too long, I just kept getting these like flashes of anger. And I tried all kinds of things. I wouldn't say it's rage, because it would be misplaced. It was just, I was peeved. I felt very peeved, and I couldn't help myself from making comments. And I just really, I couldn't like think my way out of it. I tried to think, oh, imagine if they were your friends. Imagine if they were here with you, if they were sitting next to you. Imagine if the jokes were actually funny. That's a little sassy. But I just couldn't get over it. And then when I left, I complained, like I said in a little bit earlier. But it really is about just that normally I wouldn't complain because it's not that big of a deal, but why is it that big of a deal to complain? Does that make sense? I know it makes sense. I'm not asking you. I'm just getting out of the habit of using that as like a transitional sentence. But yeah, just to get that out there. Now I'm gonna look at my notes and kind of tell you more or less what came to mind. Yeah. Okay, so the movie was Weapons. I watched it at 10:40. First things that stood out were May and Wednesday. May, maybe May 5, birth month. Wednesday, I just finished Wednesday. The relevance would be her Dawn being missing, her trying to get her power back. My dad's called me Merlina. If you know, that's because it's the Spanish version of Wednesday. Always resonated with her. Even in the office I worked in, they would say it. 2:17. 2:17 was the time the kids left. I couldn't find relevance. Alex and Lily. I misunderstood it in the beginning as Lily being Justine, the main woman, the only actress I knew about before getting into the movie. There was a scene where I thought that the not headmaster, dean, that the principal, I thought he addressed her as Lily. And so I wrote it down, and then I drew what I thought was a forget-me-not or a chaos flower. But it was very dark, and again, I was a little in my head about the kids, so I wasn't really, I don't know, I wasn't using the light of the movie to my optimization, I guess. Later on, I saw that Lily is actually Alex's last name. So that makes more sense there anyway. Addiction being a downward spiral. Remind me not to get mixed up with addicts. If you know, you know. Now, there was a scene, well, it happened multiple times, but the first time that the door opened and it was just a black square. More like a rectangle, I suppose, than a square, but it reminded me of the vision I had the other day, and I mentioned in the other video. I don't really know how to explain it. It didn't open up the way that I imagined, but it even has a similar... Am I wrong? Hold on. My bad. My nose was super itchy, and I ended up going back in pages that I actually don't want to show in this video. So, it was strange, because again, this came to me already, even with these little things. And then in the same vein of this, it was red, 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 red. And then a red door showed up. And now that I'm thinking of it, this never really came back up, but it was a red door, but it was a mistake. The red door was supposed to be a green door, but they ordered a red door by accident. It seemed really relevant. It seems like this whole door section was something I had already talked about or had already experienced in my own life, for sure. Dark magic. Dark M. There's one point where the kids were talking a bunch and it was annoying me, but all they kept saying was dark magic. They would just say blah, 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 dark magic, blah, 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 dark magic. At one point they started speaking Spanish too, and they were just saying bruja, bruja. And I guess should be careful, everyone should be. I am not saying it's a threat, but it definitely came from them continuously talking about dark magic and saying brujas, and some of them being like, oh, do they exist, do they not? And for some reason I just kept getting angrier. I guess this is a warning. This isn't threatening, okay? It's just, in my head I was like, little do they know. That was funny. I don't know why that would happen. Okay, I'm gonna do this with Flash now. Okay, as I said, it wasn't a warning in dark magic. All the lights went out, but it's fine. We're back. Which is which? Protect and conquer. Learn to combat. So it says learn to combat, but like I clearly remember as I wrote it, I meant it as like learn, because the little boy like copied what he saw his aunt do, and that's how he ended up succeeding. So it was like learn so you can combat. Does that make sense? So like if this was a warning, this was like advice, which makes sense. I've been seeing videos on martial arts recently talking about like you're your own first line of defense and stuff like that. I'm not sure if it was intended to lead me in that route or if just that is what it is. But yeah, honestly, I loved the movie, and I feel like this is something that maybe I'll digest and get back to tomorrow, but that's pretty much it for this non-review. It was a weird night. Okay, so today was a little all over the place. I feel like I want to get so much out, and since I didn't do a video yesterday, I'm kind of backed up, but like not backed up, how do I explain it? I don't feel like I'm behind, and I don't feel like I let myself down for not posting yesterday. It's more like literally because I didn't get these things out in the moment that they happened, like the night that they happened, and digest it and get it out. Now it doesn't really feel natural. It's like obstacles in my way to get it done. Like, for example, I did the movie non-review that I'm doing now for Weapons, but when trying to go back and doing the one for Together, because I did indeed watch Together prior to this, it just didn't feel right. Like it's not the energy that I'm in, so it's really hard for me to go backwards and especially when it's something like a stream of consciousness. Like, it just seems out of order. But if I don't do that, then the things that I say in this reading, well, sorry, it's not a reading, in this non-review, won't correlate exactly chronologically, because I'll notice that I'm referencing things that you wouldn't understand. But as I'm saying that, actually, whew, I love digesting here, I'm realizing it doesn't matter, because it doesn't matter what's chronological or not. So tomorrow I'll do the together one, and then after that, or if I feel inclined to do tomorrow also, I will do my stream of consciousness from today, as well as a recap of today, because today was an interesting day, and I feel like there's a lot to say just on that alone. But for now, for tonight, this is a non-review. This is my second non-review for the movie Weapons. And I'm done now. I'm not afraid. If anything, other people should be, but it's an eerie night. Eerie. I feel eerie, which is a vibe that actually I grew up loving. So maybe I've just missed it. And it's weirdly hot again. Like, I'm not sweating as much as that other day, but it feels like I'm about to. So I'm gonna go inside. Hope that whatever you got, you got. Things are gonna be a little bit more at you after these, so be ready for that. I feel a lot more sure of where this is going now. I'm gonna finish here, because, yeah, bye.